Hello and welcome to the Building an Indie Business podcast with SupremeRumHam. I'm your host, Alex. Today, in this episode, I wanted to discuss some productivity tips to avoid distraction. I'm going to discuss why I'm talking about this, and I'm going to give you some tips to help you avoid being distracted while you're working. But first, I want to discuss some general podcast things. There's the Patreon page and the Buy Me a Coffee page. These pages are for supporting improving the podcast in any way. So if I need new equipment or new software at any time, the money that I get sent through Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee will be used to buy that software or equipment. The difference between Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee is that Patreon is a monthly subscription, and Buy Me a Coffee can be a one-time donation. Alright, so let's get into the episode. Why am I doing this episode? Well, I know that some people in this community, they have jobs or they go to school, so they're not a full-time maker or they're not independent on their own right now. So it's very hard sometimes to find the time and work on their project. And it makes it even more difficult when there's Netflix and Hulu, and it's just so easy to sit down and watch Hulu for the rest of the night when you come home. So, and there are so many times when I've been working and I just spend 5 minutes on the computer and I'm able to find the solution that I've been looking for weeks on Google just by sitting down for 5 minutes and, not watching TV just for those 5 minutes. That's all it took. And these companies like Hulu and Netflix and Facebook, they don't want you to be independent of them, or they don't want you to improve your life. So it's not helping you to be scrolling through Facebook all the time. It's better to be working on your stuff. I'm not saying don't watch Netflix or Hulu at all, but when you want to work and don't get distracted by, Netflix or Hulu. Okay, so the first tip I use to help me concentrate or avoid spending too much time on my phone is I grayscale it. And I do this because I read that the colors on your phone make the phone really interesting to your brain, and it doesn't want to stop looking at the colors. So when you grayscale it, it makes your phone less interesting and more boring to your brain. And so how you do this on iOS is you go to Settings, General, Accessibility, Display Accommodations, Color Filters, and then Grayscale. Okay, and there's some occasions where I need the color, like when I'm trying to promote the podcast and I need a picture of the cover art. So I just turn on the color again, and I'm able to find the red cover art easily on my phone. Okay, And so how you add the shortcut is you go to accessibility, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you go to accessibility shortcut, and it'll say color filter, and then you just add that. And then so when you need the color on your phone, you just press the home button 3 times and it'll pop up. Okay. So the next tip is full screen laptop to not get distracted by tabs in the browser. So I find that when I'm working, sometimes I will get distracted by a tab on my browser because I have 20 tabs open, and I will go to that different tab and stop working. And so to avoid this, I full screen my laptop, which will stop showing the tabs. And how you do this on Windows is you press F11. I'm not sure how to do it on Apple. Okay, so the next thing I do is when I'm done for the day, I close the laptop to the first thing I want to work on tomorrow. So when I open up the laptop the next day, that's the first thing I see. So last night, when before I went to bed, I put my notes for this podcast episode and Audacity, and that's the first thing I saw when I woke up, because that's the first thing I wanted to do today. So, and this prevents me from getting distracted by anything else. So if on Chrome, let's say I have an article that I wanted to read and I didn't finish it, I haven't checked Chrome, so I don't get distracted by the article that I haven't read, and I'm able to do the podcast as soon as possible. Okay, so the next thing I do is I have Chrome extensions that prevent me from using websites that I don't want to use. This Chrome extension is free, and it's called Time Warp. You can easily turn it off and on. So I will put the link in the show notes. I always point down every time I say show notes. Okay. Yeah, and so you set it up, and then it'll block the website that you want to block, and it'll send you to wherever you want to be sent. So you can have it send you to Google Docs if you need to write anything. And I find it really helpful. And I don't even have it on all the time. I just got in the habit of not going on those websites after a while. And yeah. Okay. So the next thing I do is I walk around a lot. And this can be something as simple as just getting the mail. And this helps me think. I'm always walking around, and I find this makes me more productive. Okay. So the next thing I do is I put my phone out of my view. So right now, my phone is in the drawer, and I sometimes will completely forget about my phone. I used to put my phone behind my laptop, and so when I got the urge to look for my phone, I'd look for it for a bit, not be able to find it, and I'd get back to work. And I know this is a luxury for some people. I know I'm a 23-year-old male, single male, and I'm no one's emergency contact. So I know that there are some people that have families and they need to be accessible on the phone at all times. So I just want to acknowledge that. The next thing I do is I hide my bookmark bar not to get distracted by the bookmark bar. And this is the same thing with the tabs, but just with my bookmark bar. And how you hide the bookmark bar is Control-Shift-B. And that's on Chrome, and I'm not sure if for Firefox or any other it will be the same, but I think it is. Okay, and the final tip is I use this app called Flux, which I will put in the show notes again, and it makes the screen orange so that it puts less strain on my eyes when I'm working, so I can work longer and not get a headache from working in the dark or just staring at a screen for too long. Okay. Thank you for listening. I hope you got some value out of this. If you try any tips and they work, let me know, because some of these I just made up on my own, and I want to know if they work for other people too. Okay. If you have any questions, you can tweet me, you can email me at SupremeRumHam and srhpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.